So why do people suddenly, all of us who had got into the business because we presumably had bad communication skills, unlovely personal habits, couldn't get along with anybody?
Hello, wish you a healthy day. Few people know that Anthony Bourdain's life is a series of painful inner battles that he silently fought. What made a man who once had the best job in the world end his life tragically? Let's explore the touching and true story of Anthony Bourdain, and don't miss the little-known hidden corners of his life. The final days. On June 8, 2018, the culinary world came to a halt when news broke that Anthony Bourdain had been found dead at the Hotel Le Chambard in Kaysersberg, Vignoble, France. His best friend, Chef Eric Ripert, discovered Bourdain's body in his hotel room where he had died, just 5 days before Bourdain's death. Paparazzi photos emerged of Asia Argento dancing with French reporter Hugo Clement. This appeared to have caused a spiral in Bourdain's already fragile emotional state. In the days that followed, Argento reportedly told Bourdain that she didn't want to be with him anymore. Intense phone conversations that forced him to leave the set of Parts Unknown on multiple occasions. I hate my fans too. I hate being famous. I hate my job. Bourdain texted his estranged wife Octavia Boucher Bourdain shortly before his death. I am lonely and living in constant uncertainty. His final text exchange with Argento revealed his anguish. You took a risk with my heart, my life. Argento responded by complaining about his stupid possessiveness and calling him a bourgeois. His internet search records also show that he searched for Asia Argento on Google hundreds of times in the last 3 days of his life. The night before his death, Bourdain had dinner at a 2-Michelin-starred restaurant called JY's with Ripert and his crew. They then took an impromptu trip to Freiburg, Germany for drinks. Upon returning to the hotel, Ripert heard Bourdain snoring peacefully through the wall and felt temporarily reassured. However, Bourdain declined Ripert's invitation to dinner the following night, choosing to eat alone. A toxicology report found no narcotics in Bourdain's system, only a trace of a non-narcotic drug at therapeutic doses. Christian de Roquigny, the prosecutor overseeing the investigation, confirmed the cause of death as no reason to suspect foul play. Experts described the case as an impulsive act. Following an investigation by French authorities, Bourdain's body was cremated in France on June 13, 2018, and his ashes were returned to the United States 2 days later. Anthony Bourdain's final days were filled with mystery and heartbreak, leaving many wondering what happened to him in his final moments. Were there any unrevealed factors that led to this tragedy? The aftermath of Bourdain's death was not only a personal loss, but also left countless unanswered questions, leaving fans and the media to continue searching for the truth behind that dark curtain. Aftermath and unanswered questions. The tragic news of Anthony Bourdain's passing spread around the world, leaving millions of his loyal followers in a state of disbelief and creating a general sense of sadness not common among celebrities. His death had repercussions in the days, weeks, and months after it happened. It is a wound that many continue to feel to this day. Chef Eric Ripert, who found Bourdain's body, has declined to discuss his final days, while Asia Argento has said she is deeply saddened by his passing. The kindness he showed was immeasurable, and his intelligent and courageous demeanor touched and inspired so many. He was my protector, my rock and my love, she wrote in the letter. Jose Andres, a fellow chef, conveyed his sadness with sincerity, saying, he still had so many places to show us, whispering to our souls about great possibilities beyond what we could see with our own eyes. He just saw beauty in people. The heartbreaking irony that he had never been happier last year was noted by Chef Andrew Zimmern. Former President Barack Obama, who had eaten bun cha with Bourdain in Vietnam, wrote on his Instagram account, he taught us about food, but more importantly about its ability to bring us together, because of its ability to bring us together, to lessen our fear of the unknown. Bourdain's cremation took place in France on June 13, 2018, 5 days after his death. contrary to the rumors circulating about the event. His ashes were then returned to the United States, where a modest, intimate ceremony was held for his family. He wanted as little fuss as possible, his mother Gladys said in an interview with the New York Times. There are no public cemeteries to visit, although fans have made informal tributes outside Brasserie Les Halles in New York, the site of his former restaurant. Several conspiracies have emerged amid the grief. One widely circulated, but unsubstantiated story is that Bourdain was silenced before exposing a network of child abuse. Others theorized that by voicing his support for the Me Too movement and criticizing influential people, he has made potentially dangerous enemies. The authorities, on the other hand, insist that there is no indication of any criminal activity, and that all evidence points to an impulsive act. Colmar prosecutor Christian de Roquigny has confirmed that there is nothing that makes us suspect that anyone entered the room at any time. After the heartbreaking aftermath and unanswered questions about Anthony Bourdain's life, are you curious about his journey from an ordinary chef to a global phenomenon? Let's explore the impressive rise of Anthony Bourdain, his journey from a small kitchen to the limelight of fame and the hearts of millions of food lovers around the world. The rise of Anthony Bourdain, born on June 25, 1956, in New York City. Anthony Bourdain's journey from unknown chef to cultural icon began with humble origin. Raised in suburban New Jersey by a music executive father and copy editor mother, his early influences included literature and rock music. Bourdain's culinary career started accidentally during summers in Provincetown, Massachusetts, where he took a dishwashing job at a seafood restaurant merely to help pay rent. This initial kitchen experience transformed Bourdain's life fundamentally. It was from these humble beginnings that I began my strange climb to chefdom, he later wrote in his memoir. After being promoted from dishwasher to line cook, he discovered his passion for the culinary world. Subsequently, Bourdain enrolled at the Culinary Institute of America, CIA, graduating in For over 2 decades afterwards, Bourdain worked in professional kitchens across New York, including prestigious establishments like the Rainbow Room, the Supper Club, and Coco Pazzo Teatro. His career culminated at Brasserie Les Halles, where he became executive chef in Although he developed a reputation for excellence, Bourdain remained virtually unknown outside culinary circles until his early 40s. The turning point in Bourdain's career came unexpectedly. In 1999, at age 43, he wrote an article titled, "Don't Eat Before Reading This," for the New Yorker magazine. The candid behind-the-scenes look at restaurant kitchens became an immediate sensation. Interestingly, Bourdain had initially sent the piece to the New York press, but in a moment of drunken late-night hubris, he withdrew it and submitted it to the New Yorker instead. His mother, G. Ladies, a New York Times editor, played a crucial role by passing the article to a friend whose husband was the editor of the New Yorker. The article's success led to a $50,000 book deal, resulting in the 2000 bestseller Kitchen Confidential Adventures in the Culinary Underbelly. The book's raw revelations about restaurant kitchens made Bourdain an overnight celebrity, yet he initially continued working at Les Halles. Bourdain's television career evolved through 3 distinct phases. Initially, it began with a cook's tour on Food Network 2000, followed by No Reservations 2005-2012 on Travel Channel. The latter earned him recognition as one of television's most compelling hosts, as he explored global cuisine with unprecedented candor. In 2013, Bourdain moved to CNN to host Anthony Bourdain's Parts Unknown, which elevated his unique approach to food and travel journalism. The show earned 12 Primetime Emmy Awards from 31 nominations, and a 2013. Throughout its run, Bourdain maintained his uncompromising vision, describing his concept simply as, "I travel around the world, eat a lot of shit, and basically do whatever the fuck I want." The show transcended traditional food programming. Parts Unknown has grown with its host, from being a show about food to being one about people and politics. Bourdain noted, "There is nothing more political than food." Perhaps most notably, President Barack Obama appeared on the program in 2016, sharing bún chả with Bourdain at a small restaurant in Hanoi, Vietnam. By the time of his death in 2018, Bourdain had transformed from a struggling chef with addiction issues to a respected cultural ambassador who changed how millions viewed both food and travel. Anthony Bourdain rose from humble kitchens to global stardom. But have you ever wondered what it was like to be behind the spotlight and the camera? Discover the little-known side of Bourdain, the thoughts, pain, and personal story behind his famous image. Behind the camera. While millions watched Anthony Bourdain navigate the world with ease in parts unknown, a complex web of demons lurked beneath his charismatic exterior. The man who appeared fearless in front of the camera struggled with countless invisible struggles throughout his life, creating a stark contrast between his public image and his private reality. In 1980, at age 24, Bourdain bought his first bag of crack, beginning a 7-year relationship with the highly addictive substance. Unlike most recovering addicts, he quit abruptly around 1987 without formal rehabilitation. Although he had been on methadone maintenance treatment for several years, he then faced another serious battle with addiction, reaching such a point of desperation that he would dig paint chips out of the carpet in my apartment and try to smoke them in the hopes that they would find him. Remarkably, Bourdain overcame these addictions around 1990 without traditional treatment. Perhaps because my experiences were so horrific in the end, I never intended to relapse, he explained in his memoir. However, unlike many addicts who have completely recovered, Bourdain continued to drink throughout his life, even making his drinking a central focus on his shows. Throughout his career, Bourdain openly discussed his struggles with mental health. He suffered from agoraphobia, anxiety, OCD tendencies, depression, and bipolar episodes. These conditions manifested in what those close to him described as increasingly pronounced mood swings in his later years. The sine waves of his emotions were getting bigger and bigger. His depression could be triggered by seemingly insignificant events. For example, I would find myself in an airport and I would order an airport hamburger, he once explained. It's a small thing, it's a hamburger, but it's not a good hamburger. All of a sudden I'd look at the hamburger and find myself spiraling into a depression that could last for days. Moreover, Bourdain frequently mentioned leaving throughout his career. According to filmmaker Morgan Neville, who directed the documentary Roadrunner, Bourdain was a despondent behaviorist who followed famous cases and made many jokes about death. In his 2010 book Medium Raw, he openly described his period of wanting to leave after the breakdown of his first marriage. In a 2016 episode of Parts Unknown, filmed in Argentina, Bourdain participated in an on-camera therapy session, providing rare insight into his mental state. Argentina fascinated him in part because it had one clinical psychologist for every 696 people in 2012, compared to the United States, which had one psychologist for every 3,376 people, according to 2014 World Health Organization statistic. During the session, Bourdain expressed deep feelings of isolation and disconnection. I feel like Quasimodo, the hunchback of Notre Dame. If he had been in a nice hotel suite with high thread count sheets, that would have been me, he confessed to his therapist. I make a living communicating, but I'm terrible at communicating with people I care about, he added. Particularly haunting was his recurring dream of being trapped. I've had this dream for as long as I can remember, he told his therapist. I'm trapped in a huge Victorian hotel with endless rooms and hallways, trying to check out but I can't. When asked if he was happy, Bourdain responded simply, reflexively, no. His struggles didn't resolve until about 8 weeks before his death, when he finally began regular therapy. Unfortunately, the intervention came too late, a poignant reminder that even someone who seemingly had the best job in the world can silently suffer from mental health challenges that eventually become too much to bear. Behind the scenes and the cameras, Anthony Bourdain was a complex man with little-known stories. But could the love of his life explain some of those deeper aspects? Let's explore the tumultuous but emotional relationship between Anthony Bourdain and Asia Argento, a complicated love that left many marks on his life. A complicated love. In late 2016, a fateful encounter in Rome forever changed the trajectory of Anthony Bourdain's life. While filming an episode of Parts Unknown in the Italian capital, he met actress Asia Argento, a woman about 20 years his junior, who would become his passionate love, and according to some close to him, his ultimate obsession. The chemistry between Bourdain and Argento was immediate and intense. Michael Steed, a director on Parts Unknown, recalled, "When Tony met Asia, he was like, she's the best, oh my god, she's amazing. You know, like in high school when you get laid for the first." Bourdain, fresh from a split from his second wife, Ottavia Busia, seemed to dive headfirst into the new relationship. Their romance progressed quickly. By February 2017, Page Six reported that they had fallen in love. Bourdain began posting photos of Argento on Instagram, with captions like, "Perfect day, you make me forget myself." In interviews, he expressed unprecedented happiness, telling People magazine that he was happier than I've ever been, in a way I remember, and happier than I thought I'd ever be. Those close to Bourdain witnessed his transformation into a completely infatuated person. Like a teenage boy, he was completely infatuated. He would do anything for her, and that was a little red flag to some of his friends, a confidant revealed. Another friend described him as madly in love with Asia, and like a completely infatuated teenage boy. However, their relationship was far from conventional from the start. Anthony and Asia had a freewheeling relationship, loving each other without the boundaries of traditional relationships, and they set the parameters of their relationship from the start, writes their friend Rose McGowan. But there were complications and jealousies in the arrangement. According to sources, their relationship developed into something strangely complicated and depraved. In October 2017, the relationship became even more public when Argento became one of the first women to publicly accuse Harvey Weinstein of sexual misconduct. Bourdain immediately became her staunch defender, posting "proud as hell" on social media and supporting the Me Too movement with surprising fervor. Beneath this public solidarity, tensions were rising. A significant rift occurred during the filming of the Hong Kong episode of Parts Unknown, when Bourdain asked Argento to direct after the original director fell ill. The decision shocked his longtime crew, especially when he fired veteran cinematographer Zach Zamboni, after a disagreement with Argento. As producer Helen Cho noted, when Tony fired Zach, that was a big red flag, because if he was going to do that to someone like him, then everyone in his inner circle was trash. Finally, in June 2018, tabloid photos of Argento with French journalist Hugo Clément surfaced, showing them holding hands and hugging in Rome. Bourdain was reportedly furious about the images. His last communication with the outside world was an Instagram story showing a trailer from the 1970 film, Violent City, a revenge film that begins with paparazzi photos of a woman cheating on her husband. What do you think about how this love affected Bourdain's mood and life? Was it a source of warmth or a source of conflict in his soul? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. We would love to hear from you. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more interesting updates. Thank you and